GST implication in India with respect to first January 2017. How it does GST is from all direct tax levied in the past of central government excise duty, service tax and central sales tax and as well as been by GST. Customs duty is outside the ambit of GST. However, additional customs duty, countervailing duty to counterbalance excise duty and additional duty and counterbalance sales and taxes submerged into GST. The indirect tax levied in the past of central government, value-added tax, advertisement tax, luxury tax, entertainment tax, lottery, betting tax, purchase tax, etc. was an operate to submitted by into GST. However, the entertainment tax levied by the local authorities has not been submerged into GST. India has been adopted dual GST model through the Constitution 101 Amendment Act 2016 from the Brazil and Canada, where both the central government and state government power to levy tax on the common tax base and value. GST Council. Article 291 of the Constitution, the President of India Union Finance Minister and the Chairman is the decision-making body of the GST. The total 33 members quorum 50%, central government 1/3 of the vote, state government 2/3 of the vote, and a weighting majority required to take in 2/4. The state finance minister and the member of parliament state MPs of the state affairs, the state charge of the revenue types of GST, central GST, CGST, central tax, central tax, state tax, union territory tax, IGST, integrated union tax, GST compensation shall be levied on the notification goods when central government's compensation takes on the accounts of implement of GST and shall be levied on the 31st of March 2026. The IGS is levied on the central government 50% of the transfer state based on the place of supply. If the POS cannot be ascertained, it shall weigh on the consumer state. The interstate supply sector section 8 of the IGST. Location of supply and place of supply schemes of state and the same union territory. Interstate location of supply section 7. Section 7 of the IGST, that a supplier of the supply, place of supplier and place of supplies to different places and two different union territories, state of union territory. Zero rated supply section 16 of the IGST means export of goods and services suppliers up to SEZ unit of exporter. Whether GST paid on inward only GST is available export and supplies to ESC. Inward option to pay IGST and inward supply to utilizing IGST and get refund on gross IGST. Option 2 don't pay any GST on outward supply and supply under the bond LUT and refund of ITC with respect to GST paid on inward supply input tax. The state of Jammu and Kashmir into two union territory of Lakshya UT without state registration and UT GST is applicable. The UT GST and Jammu and Kashmir UT state of registration and GST is applicable. UT of the Darbar, Nakar, Navi and UT of the Avandu got merged into single UT. GST Network Section 146 of the GST Act. It is provide information technology infrastructure of implementation GST. It is referred as a common portal and provides service to taxpayer, central government, state government, banks, and other stakeholders. It facilitates registration, payment of tax, furniture, return, settlement of IGST, and e-payables. Segment of 2 supply of GST. The levy of GST is equal to taxable events under the GST and supply of goods and services of both. Supply section 7 of the GST Act of 2017. Section 1 includes section 7A classification of supply of goods and services read by section schedule 3. 7 section 2 exclude the read by the schedule 3. Section 7 class 3 central government recommendation of section GST council notifying of supply of goods or supply by surface and vice versa. Supply class 1 supply including class 1 any activities for consideration in the course of furtherance of business. 7.1 any activities between a person other than an individual and its members from members and its members for its consideration. 7.1b import of service from the consideration whether or not the course of furtherance of business. 7.1c activities of schedule even though it's not a consideration. The disposal of business asset on the ITC has been availed. Activities are scheduled and related party transaction included transaction between a distinct person by import of service by a person from a related person established outside India. P principal agent transaction with respect to the goods and service goods with the agent is acting behalf of the principal. If an activity is uncovered under 712 exclusion then 711 should be checked. If the such activity is not in 711 then such activity is not a supply. Section 2 class of retail goods. Section 2 class 101 service. Section 2 class 17 business. 2 class 31 consideration. 2 class 84%. Supply excludes a rate based schedule 3. Yes, supply excludes sovereign function all activities of government excludes the supply and transport department of post exempted and transportation of goods and passenger exempted airport and port and excluded and service way to business entities. P post government government constitution nominated a actionable claim under lottery, painting and gambling. Legal fees selected by the court and tribunal. L land and sale including sale of immovable property where entire consideration is received after obtaining completion certificate or the first occupation whichever is earlier. Land sale so excludes schedule 3 and death related to barring funeral burial mortuary activities. A sale of high sea sale before import. A liquor in license for the central government, state government outside the country movement of goods, warehouse goods sold under customs. It is also excluded from supply. The gifts by employer to employees not exceeding 50,000 as per employees excluded from the supply. Also, any benefits covered under salary after the documents and of form part of the salary excluded supply. CBS is related to section 7 class 2 of CGST Act. CBS circular sale of land after some development such as laying road, drainage lines, sale of land after development such as laying load, drainage lines, electricity lines is also sale of land and excluded from supply. However, a service provided by the development of land is not excluded from the supply. Therefore, attract GSS. Development of land is not. Circular GST CBS circular requisite provided by employer to employee an item contractual agreement entered into between them. It will be subject to GST when same is provided in the terms of contract. A summary, Section 7, Class 1. Section nature of supply, consideration, cause and further special point of view coverage. Section 7 only any activities, consideration involve cause or furtherance of business point of view supplier, cover and route and service. Section 7 1 any activities between person other than individual and its members, consideration, cause and furtherance of supply and goods and service. Coverage 7 1b import of service, consideration, cause of furtherance of if yes no recipient service no. Section 7 1a DIR schedule. So DRIP, okay. Railways, insurance, consideration not involved, and then question furtherance of business, supplier, recipient, point of view of the supplier using goods, point of supplier, goods and service, point of supplier, recipient, service, goods. If not goods, not goods. Important definition of point. Meaning of goods and services. Section 2, class 82, section 2, class 102. Goods and services. Meaning any kind of immovable property, any kind of other than goods. Section 2, not including goods include actionable claims, goods, growing crops, grass, and other things attached to the forms of part of the land which is agreed to be sold before supply under the contract on services, and transportation and money for separate consideration and facilitation arrangement transaction in the transaction securities including services excludes money and securities. Actionable claim. An instrument is an entity right to receive benefit or recovery which is transferable. Actionable claim is a right to receive a benefit or recovery or recover a debt which is transferable and legally enforceable, and holder such a right entitled to receive the benefit or recover the debt. Bill of exchange, lottery, promissory note and bearer checks, or it's called as actionable claim. Actionable claim covered under the definition of money and bill of exchange, promissory note and bearer check, neither goods nor service. Other considered goods, lottery, betting, gambling, supply, others are not supply. The meaning of consideration. Consideration includes and includes monetary payments, receivable, non-monetary goods and services. Excludes the subsidies from central government constitute consideration, and excludes a refundable security deposit does not consider consideration. The consideration can be received from the recipient or any other person. Presence of consideration is relevant. Received by the recipient or any goods present in consideration. Consideration should be respect and response on the inducement of the supply goods and service. Activity without consideration, consideration without activity on supply. Section 7 only. Donation, conditional obligation supplier to do something. Condition treated as consideration supply 7 only. Unconditional obligation is supplier to anything not related to consideration, not a supply. Condition application supply donation conditional not treated as consideration supply only. Non-conditional not a supply. If donor name displayed anywhere the purposes against donation, non-obligation. Display of name does not give us a business advantage to donor, not a supply. Display of name given business advantage to donor 7(1)(a). So it's a supply. A meaning of a person, section 2 class 28. Person under the Person under the income tax act 1961 plus central government plus state government is equal to person under GST. Person under income tax act 1961 individual, HUE of company, a firm, AOP, cooperative society, legal authority, artificial judicial person, other bodies, person. Meaning of business section 2 class 17 general activity, specific activity. Central activity, mental activities, trade, commerce, manufacture. Central activity, professional, adventure, wager. Similar activities is incidental or auxiliary cover irrespective of the volume or frequency, whether or not for the peculiar benefits. Specific activities, entry ticket, holding of office accepted in the course and furtherance of business. As in holding office accepted in the course or furtherance of business, trade, vocation, profession, supply of goods, service in connection with the commencement or closure of business, provision of facilitating benefits to members of the club, society, association, any activities of race club, including benefit transaction, all the activities included in all activities of government or specific activities included in the business. 7 class 2, 2 class 7, 17. Meaning related to transaction value under section 15 not applicable and value identified in the terms of rules. As per the explanation to section 15, person shall be deemed to be rated. Such a person, or officer or director of one another business. X is appointed as officer of Mr. Y business and Y is appointed as officer of the Mr. X. Now X and Y are rated. Such persons are legally recognized partners, business partners of the firms and rated. The meaning related. And under section 15 not applicable and value determined in terms of rule. Now any person directly indirectly owns and controls for hold 25% or more than outstanding voting shares of both the same. A invest on more than 20% X limited and Y limited, and X is and Y related. Such person employer relationship related. One of them directly indirectly control other, meaning control investment more than 50% majority control be a board of director or a controlling operation. Now both of them are directly indirectly controlled by third party. X in the controlled by A limited and Y is controlled by A limited. Now X and Y is related party together they directly control that person. X invests 28% A limited and Y invests 30% of A limited. Both X and Y controls and together controls A limited. X and Y is a related party. They are members of the same family. Family means a spouse and the children of the persons, whether are not dependent on the parents, guardians, brothers, sisters, and they do are wholly mainly dependent on each other. So sole agent, sole agent distribution, sole agent, sole distributor, same sole consideration, however described of the others and shall be deemed to be rated. Meaning of various supplies: taxable supply, exempted supply, non-taxable supply, zero rate supply. Section 2 class 108 GST Act, meaning goods supplies and goods and services which is alleviated by the tax. Section 2 class 747 GST Act, goods service and goods and GS na goods service GS na goods and services. Okay, which attract nil rated of tax, wholly exempted from tax and include a non-taxable supply. Non-taxable subject section 2 class 78 GST Act, goods and service which are not taxable law, zero rated supply. Section 16 170 supply goods and service export and supply in the SEZ unit are zero rated supply. What is goods non-taxable? Goods non-taxable supply. Alcohol, liquor of human consumption are not taxable. Petroleum products and crude oil from petrol, diesel, aviation, turbine fuels, and natural gas are not taxable. Supply of goods or services chargeable of GST payable. Taxable supply and balancing not chargeable to GST not payable. Liable to GST and not liable to GST non taxable. Exempted liable to GST nil rate and notified by the payments. Export of the goods and export of service. Export of goods section 2 class of T1 IGST Act. Export of service 2 class 6 IGST Act. Taking goods out of India, place outside India is export of goods. Consideration of foreign currency or not condition. Location of supplier India, location of recipient outside India, point of sale outside India. Considerations convert into foreign exchange except for service like Nepal, Bhutan, notified by RBI. Supplier and recipients are not merely established of same person. Supply from a company incorporated in India to its establishment outside India were incorporated under the law outside India, which qualifies export of service subject to fulfillment of other condition. Deemed Deemed interstate supply. The following supplies are deemed to be interstate supplies irrespective of location of the supply and place of supply. Place of supply SEZ by SEZ is interstate supply. Import of goods and service interstate supply. Export of goods service interstate supply. Location of the supplier to in India and place of supply outside India interstate supply. The goods supplied now supply of goods to tourists at a place in is ineffective. It's interstate supply. Supply of goods and services beyond the territorial water and upon exclusive economic zone upon the territory not elsewhere. LOS in India, POS in India, location of supplies in India and POS supply of India. Section 30 of IGST. Security lending as per SEBI, security lending under SEBI, IGST. Interstate trading a priority sector lending certificate. IGST advantages cannot be categorized. Advances cannot be categorized into inter or inter. Supply in territorial water, that is a 12 nautical mile from the baseline of section 9 of IGST. If a location of supplier or place of supplies in territorial water, then the nearest coastal state or union territory shall be treated as a location of the supply or place of supply. For example, a marine engineer registered in Tamil Nadu provide an pair service to music, music located outside India. The ship is located in territorial water of India, and the place of supply is location where the service is actually performed. That is the location of ship, but the ship is territorial water. Territorial water place of supply shall be the most nearest coastal state where the ship is located, and if the nearest portal is Andhra Pradesh, then the nature forces an interstate supply of marine engineering. If the nearest port is Tamil Nadu, then the nature of supply is interstate source of marine engineering. Meaning of aggregate turnover. Section 2 class CGST Act, aggregate turnover means aggregate value of a taxable supply, exempted supply, goods and exports and interstate supply. A person having PAN to be computed in all the India bases 200 nautical miles from the baseline, including non-taxable supplies and related supplies, excluding SEZ developers, even though the zero rate supply, including the aggregate turnover. Best section. Inward supplies or the import supplies or the taxes are payable by a person under first charge. CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST compensation but exclude meaning of it. And GST on sale. GST on sale of flats and building before obtaining earlier and CC and FO clearance and FO. After obtaining CC and FO, GST and nature. What is CC? Clear certificate or clear certificate or the money received before clear certificate, then GST payable or contract service. The money received after the clearing certificate not payable, excluded from the supply and sale of immovable property. Now part of money received in before part of money received after payable, the entire amount works contract service. Money consideration, monetary and non-monetary CC completion certificate issued by the competent authority for first occupation, data of which buyers are occupied by the buyers in the project, and it is deemed to be completion and remaining flat on the unbooked excluded from the supply. Meaning of a contract. What contract is called a contract which transfer of property in the goods as well as supply of service relation to immovable property against a sale consideration. Then earlier indirect tax regime, the same is classified under both service and goods and service. GST is classified complete service. Meaning of job work. Job work is carried of any process of goods belonging to other registered person. Other job work can be constructed accordingly. Job work is equal to supplier may or may not be registered, but the principal supplier should be registered. Job work the principal and the process carried out may or may not be manufactured. Job work supply service is 6% or 12%. Casual rate is if the recipient is unregistered, no job work but treated as same as a service, rated 18%. Meaning of distinct person. Every registration of a person to whom other registration is a distinct person. What is a person required to obtain more than a registration? Multiple business, different states, separate registration with respect to each state. Same state, different place of business, separate registration with respect to each place of business. Same place of business, it cannot obtain register or separate registration. Another establishment or another state where the registration is not registered, treated as a distinct person. Meaning of recipient. Consideration is payable. A person who is liable to pay consideration. Consideration is not payable. Person who receives such goods and including an agent of such person. Person is not payable. Person is who receives such considered goods includes an agent of such person. Then consideration of payable services. Goods pays who person who receives the services and include the agent of this person. Classification supply into goods and service section 7 class 1 year read with schedule 2 activity goods and supply goods and services activity mobile property transfer title so present sale future sale hire purchase supply of services transformation of goods transfer of right to use renting and leasing. Immovable property transfer title not taxable. Construction services transfer of right to use entity services. Intellectual property right IPR permanent transfer patent technologies hold company temporary transfer example musical and actor composition music taxable. The corporate carrying out a process of goods belonging to another substantially material required for the process of a player company substantial material required to process and supply company. Supplier of goods along with service, notify goods of work contract, information technology software, and supply of goods. As supply, so opposite supply, the principal supply of goods, then the entire transaction should be supply of goods. A plus B. The principal supply is supply of services, the entire supply shall be service example, coaching plus ready material. Mix supply. If the highest rate supply is an supply of goods, then the entire transaction is supply. For example, TV and option warranty. With the highest rate supply of service, then the entire transaction is supply of services. Example, video classified other activities. Doing an act and not doing an act and tolerating an act activity. Section supply of goods by a unique operator association. A body of its and members is treated and supply of goods omitted. It can be constituted supply of goods or service depending upon supply involved. Composition mixer supply. Now, composition mixer supply. Meaning composite supply two or more supplies naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business composite only. Two or more supplies are not naturally bundling to the original course of business comic supply. Type of supplies taxable supply, exempted supply, non-taxable supply. How the price is determined? A single price or separate price? Single price. Principal supply, yes, one of the supply should be principal supply is not relevant. Rate of the GST of a principal supplies are applicable to all supplies. Highest rate of supply is applicable to all supplies. Example, AC plus installation, transportation, AC plus installation, AC. Transportation plus insurance, transportation. Replacement of parts during the service of the vehicles and labor, replacement part. In the case of mixed supply, inventory, battery, renting of building plus furniture cost, popcorn plus coke. If there is two or more supply that does not which is not a composite supply and also not involve single price, it is an individual supplies and taxable accordingly. Segment to liability to pay GST. Section A 939495 when applicable notify goods as 993 notified goods on service applied. Section 9 for inward supplies are notified by the RP and RP 9 registered person RP registered person and by e-commerce industry ECO e-commerce operator. What is notified? List of services in section 9 notified. List of services applicable for the exams. List of goods not applicable for exams. Notified goods. Who will pay GST recipient? Who will supplier? Registered persons or unregistered person can be. One registered person will pay in case of notified goods. In case of section 9 for inward supply is notified by the registered person from the unregistered person. What is notified? Purchase from the promoter or builder. Who will be pay recipient? A supplier unregistered person. Section 9(5) supply of notified and the e-commerce industry. Housekeeping services. Example urban company. Example A accommodation services. Go Bibo. T transportation service Ola Uber. Eating services by the Uber and Swiggy. Who will pay the GST e-commerce industry supplier HNA or the HNA and TNA who may be unregistered person or registered person. Recipient registered person unregistered person. Section 9 read with the section 13D service from the RCM SSR CG CG not SLR. Okay. CG got salad. Okay. Read with the service under RCM. What are CG got salad? Sir, security lending by the SB or borrower of security is liable for GST. Okay. Reversal mechanism. A service under reverse charge mechanism. Import of service by a person. Import of service by a person. Taxable territory from a person. Non-taxable reverse charge mechanism. Input. So renting a motor vehicle by a person other than the body corporate or body corporate. Renting a motor person from other than a body corporate to a body corporate rate of GST after 5% by supplier. Renting of a residential property or residential purpose or by a registered person RCM basis. Copyright temporary copyright transfer of copyright right to original literature, dramatic, musical, architectural work of supplier, music company, producer, and like in this case literary work in the supplier he has option to pay GST and RCM basis. If not after 1 month, such option can be withdrawn. GST, GTA services to person other than unregistered person, HUF and AGP. Such as individual HUF AJP. What is AJP? AJP should not be given factor. This is the option to pay GST under the forward charge mechanism, and the option need to be exercised by the GST before commencement of financial year, at least 15 days prior. 15 days of the March of previous financial year, in which exercise is valid for the financial year.